Title: Update 6: Ex-wife pleads for reconciliation after infidelity. 3 days later, I receive a call from my attorney. My soon-to-be ex-wife has secluded herself in her parents' home and has authorized her father to communicate with her lawyer on her behalf. I mentioned that I tried to be kind to her daughter, but when I spoke to her, she screamed over the phone, calling me evil and saying she wanted her mother back. My girlfriend remained silent. Hi everybody! I'm leading a goal of 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I truly believe we can achieve it together. So if you could hit that subscribe button, it would really mean a lot to me. We're back with another subscriber email story update. We're returning to the Retreat, Regroup, and Recover series. This is update number 6. If you haven't seen the previous updates, they're all in the description. I'll include the original video there as well, so you can follow along with the entire story. Later on, I plan to compile the original video and all the updates into one release, making it easier for you to catch up. For a quick recap, this is about a man who was married to a woman working at a hospital. She was unfaithful with the hospital director. His father had given them a beautiful house, making life quite comfortable since they didn't have to pay much for housing. They didn't have children. He hired a private investigator who uncovered her infidelity, and now he's standing firm in his decision to divorce her despite her pleas to reconcile. He's been steadfast, and he's back with another update. So let's dive into it. Subject: Retreat, Regroup, and Recover Update 6. If there's still interest in my ongoing story, here's the latest update. He starts off, "Got a call from my soon-to-be ex-wife's father. She has told him we're divorcing, giving her version of why, and that I'm unwilling to consider reconciliation. He wants to hear my side of the story. So, I go over the private investigator's findings, the potential exposure to STDs she put me at risk of, and my disgust at the thought of continuing to have her as my wife. He asked who the PI was. I told him it doesn't matter since he signed a non-disclosure agreement, and he probably wouldn't want the PI's findings made public anyway. I mentioned that if he's still curious, my soon-to-be ex-wife and her lawyer have copies of some of the texts and videos relevant to the matter. He apologizes for this unfortunate situation and says he'll try to get copies of the material from her lawyer. He says, you know, my wife and I have always held you and your parents in the highest regard. We were thrilled when you and our daughter decided to marry. I'm hurt by the possibility that she did anything to violate your trust. I tell him that I'm prepared to go my way if she goes hers. I also mention that I only want a divorce, no property division, but my soon-to-be ex-wife is asking for a property settlement, which I will fight in court with all the evidence I have, and in as public a way as I can arrange, including material from the PI that her lawyer hasn't seen yet. I tell him that wanting to profit from putting my life at risk is a new low for her, and if she persists, she and her family are going to face serious consequences. He asks if he can call me again after he gets a handle on what's going on. I tell him it won't change anything for me, but sure. 3 days later, I get a call from my lawyer. My soon-to-be ex-wife is on heavy tranquilizers, has locked herself up in her parents' house, and has authorized her father to communicate with her lawyer on her behalf. Her lawyer is now willing to drop the property settlement claims and agree to a divorce based on mutual consent, with no division of property beyond what each of us brought into the marriage, but he wants to see what else the PI has found. My lawyer told him that's not going to happen, and if we don't get mutual consent, we'll be in court with everything we have against her and her family. According to my lawyer, her attorney will see reason, and it's all downhill from here, with only the mandatory waiting periods to be satisfied. The next day, her father calls me to tell me he spoke to his daughter, and he and his family are deeply ashamed that she could be involved in something like this. He says, this is not the daughter we raised. I add, it's not the woman I married either. He tells me that her current psychological state is fragile, and he'll wait until she stabilizes somewhat, but will then get a full and honest explanation of what she did and why she did it. I told him I don't care about why she did it, only that she did it, so if he questions her, it would be only to satisfy his own curiosity. He also told me that he is now authorized to instruct her lawyer on her behalf, and since her financial security is not in jeopardy, he has dropped the property claim. He asked me what it would take to repair the marriage. I tell him that it's irreparable. He admits that he's concerned about his family's reputation. I tell him, I'm dealing with this like a visit to the dentist. We're not going to hurt each other, are we? He ignores the humor, but I think he got the message. I tell him it would be nice if her lawyer stopped slandering me in his court filings. If he doesn't, I'll be the one giving instructions, and they won't be pleasant. My soon-to-be ex-father-in-law doesn't know what to make of this. He says he'll talk to the lawyer and again says he's sorry before saying goodbye. I asked my lawyer when I can, figuratively speaking, confront her lawyer directly. She tells me to relax and not fall into any traps, because his only chance is to provoke me into doing something foolish. She's been right so far. I feel invigorated. My fighting instincts are starting to stir. I'm off on a business trip, potential big money for me and my partners and employees, and I'm in a great mood for the first time in a long time. More to come, guys. Thanks. Wow. Let me share my thoughts on that. Again, thanks for the update. You've been keeping us informed and it's pretty awesome. It sounds like your soon-to-be ex-wife is still struggling. She's locked herself in a room at her parents' house and is still trying to reconcile, and you're still standing your ground. Kudos to you. She did some pretty harsh things, and if she and her lawyer are smart, they would just go along with what you want. You just want a simple divorce. You're not asking for anything or trying to take anything from her, even though you're making more money than she is. She's trying to get your father's property, which is ridiculous. Why does she want part of your father's property? It's not yours to give. She can't do that, so we all know she's not going to win in that. All you want is a simple divorce. She's been unfaithful with this guy without protection. She needs to go back to him. I understand why she's trying to keep you. She had a nice life. When you were married and everything was good, you didn't have to pay much for housing because your father gave you a home. She still wanted more and messed it up by getting involved with, what was his name, Melvin? She wanted him before she got caught. She needs to go back to him. But definitely, man, enjoy your trip. Let us know. I'm still curious to see if the divorce gets finalized, if it goes through. Just let us know. Keep sending those updates and I'll keep sharing them. So guys, let me know what you think about this update in the comments. He's still standing firm in my opinion. Kudos to him. Now let's check out another email. Alright guys, we have another email here, email number 2. Let's go ahead and get into it. Subject: there is no knowledge that is not power. You probably remember me from that one email, a short holiday story with the Karens, but I also wanted, if it's okay with you, to share my last experience with my last romantic relationship, hoping to help others avoid traps. Kudos to you, man. Quick background. I'm a male, 55 years old, maybe old, but not dead yet, a U.S. Army Desert Storm veteran and former chauffeur in Chicago for 13 years. I've had a significant number of girlfriends and have been married and divorced twice, so I've been around the block a few times. My last romantic encounter was with a woman I met and was friends with around where I live. She seemed cool and we hit it off. Even my dog liked her, and my dog hates almost everybody, he's overprotective. When we decided to go out, that was the beginning of the end. She was on the phone FaceTiming her daughter from another marriage. I promised myself to try to be super cool about things, and we had an understanding that her daughter would be her concern and never mine. That weekend, she wanted to see my place. Fine. From that day to the last day, she practically ate me out of house and home. Any food was fair game. I was nervous, but it was just food, right? Red flag. Next week, Wednesday rolls around. She bought cheap engagement rings and proposed to me. I told her to take the rings back and slow down. She was visibly angry. I asked her why she did this. She told me she felt an unspoken connection with me. Red flag and crazy alert systems were going off in my head. Tried to stay calm though. That weekend, she said that her daughter was having fits over our relationship and was acting up, destroying her toys, not listening to anyone, etc. I told her that I tried to be nice to her daughter. When I talked to her daughter, she screamed over the phone, saying I was evil and that she wanted her mommy back. My girlfriend said nothing. 2 days pass. I am getting concerned over her lack of communication with me because I knew she had her own medical problems. I went to her place to say hi. She was on her couch, crying into her hands, while her daughter was screaming at the top of her lungs at her. No words, just screaming. I tried to comfort her, and she told me to get the heck off of her. Fine. That night, she texted me saying she wanted to talk with me. I texted her, telling her this was not my first rodeo on the breakup circuit. I wanted to avoid any further drama and tears, so I dropped off her things. She left at my place within an hour, and that would be the end. She agreed. Today, I learned from her friends and neighbors that she was gossiping that she broke up with me because I freaked out hearing her daughter screaming on the phone, and I got mad at my girlfriend and attacked her. What? I set the record straight with them, told them everything, and thankfully they know of my good standing for 3 years and of being a good person. They believed me, not that I cared, but it was good to know. Ex-girlfriend never talked to me or them again. Looking back on this, I should have listened to my common sense and logic and not ignored the red flags. Always listen to that logic. You can avoid this fate that came upon me. I have redirected my focus on my education. I have now earned a BA in English and am also taking exams to teach English as a second language. Then my life goal is to go to Thailand to teach our language and do my part to make the world better. I hope my story helps other men. Happiness should never start with others but has to start with yourself. Keep up the good work and happy holidays. Let me give my thoughts. Kudos to you, man. Thanks for sending in this email. You are absolutely right, don't ignore red flags. And I love something you said at the end. Happiness should never start with others but has to start with yourself. Absolutely. You should never look for someone else to make you happy. You should be the happiest person in the world before you ever decide to go into a relationship. I agree with that 100%. You're absolutely right. I've made those mistakes, a lot of people have made those mistakes. No one else can make you happy, you have to be happy with yourself first. So, kudos to you for saying that. I see you're 55. You've been divorced twice. Man, if you want to send in some stories, let us know what happened with the first marriage, what happened with the second marriage. Why'd you divorce? What happened? It could help some people out. But you're absolutely right, you definitely ignored some red flags for whatever reason. After being divorced twice and going through it, you've been through this several times. But I'm glad you made it out, man. You're trying to travel the world, you're going to teach English, you got your degree. Kudos to you, you're doing your thing. And I love when I get to the end of the story and I see that you guys are focused on your purpose. Whether you went to school, I don't care what it is. You could go to trade school, you want to be a motivational speaker, you have some talent where you're singing, you do music, whatever it is, I like when I see that you're focused on your purpose. So kudos to you, man. I definitely do remember your last email, and this was a great email, so thanks for sending this in. Guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments. Email number 2. Also, let me know what you think about email number 1, the update. I will put both of their original videos in the description so you guys can check out their original stories. If you want to send in a story, send it to Lessons from Life. And I will catch you guys at the next one.